If you're a Pacific salmon battling to return to your birthplace after years at sea, life can be a real jungle. An epic struggle for survival where every one of your superb physical attributes is put to the test, including your uncanny ability to persevere, even in the face of enormous obstacles. Each spring or fall, millions of these remarkable fish migrate inland from the Pacific to complete a do-or-die odyssey back to the freshwater rivers, lakes, and streams where they hatched years before. They are so focused in their quest that nothing, including rocks, rapids, and half-ton eating machines, can discourage them from pouring every ounce of strength into an effort that will ensure the future of their species. An astonishing display of the salmon's relentless drive and finely tuned navigational skills occurred more than 60 years ago in the Northern California community of Oric. Here at the Prairie Creek Fish Hatchery, a startling discovery revealed a migration journey almost beyond belief. On the morning of December 2nd, 1964, a 2-year-old male Cojo salmon was found swimming among hundreds of juvenile fish in one of the hatchery's 4 concrete rearing ponds. Closer examination revealed that the dorsal fin of this unexpected visitor had been clipped with the distinctive identification mark of the Prairie Creek facility. A mark carried only by fish raised in this pond and released to the sea the year before. The dislodged wire screen used to cover the pond's drain box implied an obvious but unlikely explanation for the puzzling scene. Perhaps, in an attempt to reach its home waters, the fish entered through the maze of pipes in the hatchery's drainage system. Apart from a hoax, it was the only logical conclusion. Yet a look at the route the fish would have taken defied all logic. Like all salmon raised and released from the Prairie Creek hatchery, the fish would have returned from its time at sea here, where Redwood Creek flows into the Pacific Ocean. Traveling upstream, along with the other now mature survivors from its brood year, the migration route led the fish 3 miles to the junction of Redwood and Prairie Creeks. Faced with a choice, it paused for a moment to pick up the scent of its home waters and then continued north. While swimming constantly against the current, the pace was slow but steady. And after 2.5 miles, the fish reached the junction of Prairie and Lost Man Creeks to face another critical decision. Pausing here, the salmon picked up the familiar scent of home, now coming from 2 different directions. 18 months earlier, the fish had been released here, behind the hatchery, into Lost Man Creek. Yet, instead of retracing its path east and back to where its life began, it chose to resume a northbound course. The reason for this unusual decision could be found near the highway, 100 yards to the east. Directly below the road, well water, draining from the hatchery pond where the fish had been raised, trickled out through a culvert underneath U.S. Highway 101. Normally, this water would be absorbed by the porous ground before reaching Prairie Creek. But exceptionally heavy rains that winter created a small channel that mixed with the hatchery water to carry the chemical signal home, all the way to the determined salmon. Now locked in on the familiar scent, the fish would leave the creek to enter the shallow rivulet, only a few inches deep, then swim through the tangled vegetation to the opening of the culvert. Home was near, but the biggest challenge was still yet to come. After crossing under the highway, the fish would swim beneath this parking lot to enter a storm sewer covered by this metal grate. Here, as excess water poured out upon the fish, a final burst of daylight illuminated its jump into this 12-inch pipe. Then, in the darkness, the salmon would swim under the parking lot toward its final destination, only to meet a hopeless dead end. Beneath these walkway boards, less than 15 feet from the rearing pond, the fish would find itself trapped within a concrete flume. Yet, spurred on by the now overwhelming scent of home water that poured in around it, the exhausted traveler refused to give up. Searching for an escape, it would locate the opening of a 4-inch drain pipe. Then, squeezing its body inside, it rammed its way forward until again being stopped, this time by a 90-degree upward bend. Drawing upon its final reserves of power and will, the fish would make the turn, then squeeze its body upward to be faced once more with another massive obstruction. The remaining 3.5 feet of standpipe was covered with a framed screen, weighing more than twice as much as the fish. As the battered fish swam among the juvenile salmon on that cold December morning, doubts and questions about its journey filled the air like heavy mist. Finally, the decision was made to lift off the boards covering the drainage flume, and moments later, speculation gave way to awe and wonder. 72 coho salmon, all bearing the fin clip of the Prairie Creek hatchery, were trapped within the flume. Each had battled alongside its indomitable companion to make all but the final leap back into the pond, the home waters where their lives began.